What up, everybody? Good morning and happy Friday. A little TGIF action. Dan Kasper Show's on the air, radio dials, couple of those, 105.1 FM, 790 AM, also online, sportstalk1051.com. You got your app, you got your Google and Alexa home devices, and of course the video stream, which is up and rolling, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Happy Friday, everybody. Appreciate you making us part of your start before the weekend is upon us. What do we got on the game plan here for this morning? Well, it was closer than I thought it was going to be. So, got to give them a shout out. Badgers, they did fall to Purdue last night, 63-61, but hey, was within that 4. That line was 4. So, a little closer than I thought it would be. Got to give them credit. I'll give them a little credit there, but nonetheless, dropping their 13th game of the season, falling to 8-11 in conference play, 16-13 overall on the season. One more left to go for this Badger Hoops team for the regular season, and that's going to be on Sunday as they visit the Gophers in Minneapolis. Can the Badgers pick up that W and still potentially stay alive for a berth in the NCAA tournament? Think we could all probably assume if they lose to the Gophers, unless something magical happens in the Big Ten Conference tournament, maybe, just maybe, that would put the final nail in this really weird season, up and down season for this Badger basketball team. But Wisconsin, they could finish anywhere from 10th, which would be technically a first-round bye in the Big Ten Conference Tournament, to 12th in the league seedings. It depends on a bunch of factors, depending on what happens with Nebraska's game against Iowa, Penn State's road game against Maryland, and the finishing order above them all. So, I mean, there's a bunch of different outcomes coming up here, but essentially take care of their own business, because a loss, and then UW would be the 12 seed versus, looks like it would be Ohio State. But if they win, a Nebraska win, a Penn State win, then UW is still the 12 seed taking on Ohio State. If they beat Minnesota, Nebraska loses, and Penn State wins, Wisconsin would be the 11 seed versus Minnesota. If they beat Minnesota, Nebraska wins, and Penn State loses, again, UW would be the 11 seed taking on Minnesota. But if they beat Minnesota, Nebraska loses, Penn State loses, then UW would be the 10 seed versus either Illinois, Michigan, Michigan State, or Northwestern. So there you have it. Bunch of different scenarios, but got to win first against the Gophers. Right? Another solid game for Max Klesmit, former Nina. Remember, prep player, started off his college career, his collegiate career in Wolford, transferred back to his home state, and last couple games there been kind of showing off the skills. Chucky Hepburn returned to the lineup, played 34 minutes and contributed 13 points too. So, but still not enough. We'll chat some hoops with the Badgers and college hoops overall as we are inching closer to the end of the regular season and into conference tournament action. And then it's bracket time, baby. March Madness, man. Sticking with hoops, Bucks have had, they had the day off last night. They'll have the day off today before their home game against Philly. And when you look at this upcoming schedule for the Bucks too, I mean, we got quite a few games here. So one thing that's going to be interesting with this whole Chris Middleton thing is he not going to be playing back-to-backs and such, because the Bucks have a back-to-back next week, Monday and Tuesday, and then the following week they got another back-to-back. And towards the end of the month, they got another back-to-back, and the first part of April, another back-to-back. Bucks have quite a few games coming up here. So they got their Saturday game, then they got off Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. Then they get finally a couple days off in there for your load management, if you will. But it's kind of a race to the finish here for the regular season. But big game coming up on Saturday at home, taking on the 76ers. But the Bucks may be getting some reinforcements coming in, according to Adrian Wojnarowski from the mothership, ESPN. The Bucks are favored to sign Goran Dragic, the veteran point guard. Remember a couple years ago, he was with the Heat, kind of a focal player there. Last year, there was rumors, could the Bucks bring him? He ended up going to the Nets, but he is 36 years old. He cleared waivers on Thursday, and according to this report, he will meet Bucks officials in Milwaukee today. Bucks are also signing Myers Leonard to a second consecutive 10-day contract. So, Bucks, we've heard ever since, even right before the trade deadline and even, a little bit after in terms of the buyout market and such, that the Bucks were looking for a little bit more backcourt depth. Well, Dragic would fit that bill there. How many minutes? How focal? How much would he be involved in the rotation? I don't know, because again, I don't necessarily want minutes cut from a guy like Carter and such, but maybe just to give a little bit of a typical point guard to give Drew Holiday a little bit of a breather here and there before the postseason run and such, adding that veteran presence for that postseason run. But he was Dragic was one of the league's best point guards earlier in his career, and kind of been a steady, veteran presence for a lot of teams, or a few teams for these last few years. But got enough left for hopefully a championship run here. I hope they can get it done. Get a little bit more depth, add some more depth to that team that already has some pretty solid depth there. But sounds like it should get done today. After it sure seems like it's going to happen after this, meeting. I guess it's more of a formality, if you will. But nonetheless, let's go. Cannot wait for the postseason to start for the NBA. Man, it's going to be awesome. We'll talk some Brewers. We'll talk some baseball here, especially with B, Mr. Brandon Berg, coming on in the 7 o'clock hour here. But yesterday, saw Corbin Burnes pitch for the first time. Saw Christian Yelich hitting a dinger right away. He collected a couple of hits there too. But Corbin Burnes, not a whole lot of work for Burnesy there, but looked pretty sharp. Two and a third, kind of working on some things there. A couple strikeouts, did give up 2 earned runs on one hit there, but don't pay attention too much to that sort of stuff there. But maybe kind of looking more at Yelich. All right, collected a couple more hits, had a leadoff home run right away. Willie Adames collected a couple hits yesterday too. Voit collected a couple of hits too. So, but we'll talk some more baseball and Brewers too. I mean, we know about the Aaron Ashby one, but Tyrone Taylor is going to be missing the beginning part of the season. He's got that injection. Going into his elbow there, a little PCP injection. So it sounds like he's going to be missing the first month or so of the season. So potentially opens up the door maybe for one of those youngsters to get on that 40-man roster to open up the season. Right field. Could we see a little bit of a battle? A little bit of a job battle there? Maybe. I don't know. But we'll chat it all with Brandon coming up here. As where are we at now? March 3rd. 1, 2, 3. Officially less than 4 weeks away now for opening day against the Cubbies on March 30th. Kind of getting in the mood here a little bit. So we'll get to that. Combine officially, I guess you could finally say it kicked off, right? We can say it kicked off because of the on-field workouts yesterday. I mean, holy moly, some of these athletes just freaks of nature for crying out loud. I mean, some of these big defensive linemen, these edge rushers, showing off some of their athletic skills, like Nolan Smith from Georgia, the edge rusher. A little bit lighter. I think he was officially listed as 238 pounds at 6'2", but the dude clocked a sub 4.40, 4.39 on his 40. So you got to imagine that maybe his stock is going to go up there a little bit too. Then the kid from Northwestern, a defensive end, a 282-pound lineman. I'm going to mispronounce his name, but Adebawore. I saw the pronunciation and it just froze up here, so forgive me. I'll get it up here. But dude ran a 4.49 40-yard dash at 282 pounds. That's insane. That's scary to see that massive of a human being run that fast. Now, does it really translate into, is he going to be a great football player and such? We don't know that, right? We won't know that, but nonetheless, that's some athletic, freakish skills, right? Holy moly! But what we're going to do with the combine, so okay, it's Tom Iwa Adebare. Might have to say that a few more times. Kid from Northwestern. We saw him play, against the Badgers, obviously. Tom Yawa Adebare. Okay, I'm gonna stop. But what we're gonna do here with the combine, we're okay. Now I got another one. Adebare. There we go. That's from Northwestern's website. Anyways, we're starting to hear some of the players when they're doing their pressers and that. Reporters have been asking, hey, who have you been meeting with? Where are some of your formal meetings with? Well, we'll tell you some of the players that the Packers have been meeting with, in case you haven't heard. So we'll kind of have a little bit of a running list here. Obviously, there's a little bit of interest in it if the Packers are meeting with them, but they're also doing their due diligence. And, a lot of these are going to be potential first-round picks, maybe, first couple of rounds there. But there's going to be some names that you definitely heard about. I'll tell you one. The kid from Alabama, the safety Branch, already had said that he had a formal meeting with the Packers. And I know that's a name that a lot of Packers fans have kind of gone out there and said that I would love that dude in the back end of this defense. Love that dude. Bring him on in, baby. So Packers fans probably pretty happy about that one. So, but we'll get a running list for you to kind of keep you posted. Obviously, we got more players coming in as the week progresses, going into the weekend and such. But we're starting to get a little bit of a list here. So, but hey, I'll tell you what, if you've been eliminated from the Rodgers pool here, because we got some open dates coming up here. If you want to get back into it, I'll allow it. So if you've been already eliminated, you picked a date in February or such, you want in on this thing, hit me up with a text, tweet, or a comment on the video stream on what date you want in on this Rodgers pool, since we still don't know. Is it going to be next week? Is it going to follow a similar timeline from last year? Tomorrow, I don't know why I remember this, but probably just because, but tomorrow is the anniversary of when Favre called it a career, when it was reported, March 4th, 2008. Oh, I remember getting woken up and I was in college, living in a house with 4 other dudes. One of my roommates, just early in the morning, as he was going to class, I had a later class, just walked in my room and woke me up and said, "Dude, just turn on the TV." And he walked out, turned it on, and there you go. It was there. It actually happened. That was the quarterback Favre was from like elementary school all the way to college for me, for crying out loud. And it was like something different. And at that point, I wasn't sold on Aaron Rodgers. I wasn't. I was wrong. And I'm glad to admit it. I was absolutely wrong on that. But perhaps this is, this coming week, next week is going to be that week if we follow history. So, but, we'll keep you posted, obviously, if anything does pop up here. But we got what's got you fired up for the weekend? You can hit us up with a text, 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line. We'll do a little cream of the crop. If you want to give your picks for the cream of the crop, you can absolutely do so. We've got our Carpet City local spotlight coming up at 8:05. Speaking of the local stuff and regional stuff, Brandon will break that all down. New Richmond defeating Menominee in state hockey and such. We'll get an update on some of the basketball playoff games going on. Girls, I know, had some games last night too. So we'll talk to Brandon about that. Blue Gold girls basketball in action, first round of the NCAA tournament tonight. You'll be able to listen to that game on the radio dials here. And then Blue Gold men's and women's hockey WIAC championship tomorrow. So lots to catch up on. Brandon will do that for us. And then, of course, Dr. Crow inside the training room coming up at about 7:05 here this morning. So let's get things rolling here. Let's get the first segment underway, the opening drive, right? Let's get it rolling. Let's kind of open it up to everything. We're going to dabble into everything here a little bit. We'll talk a little hoops with the Bucks, Badgers. Throw a little baseball talk in here. We got some roster predictions for the Brewers, updated ones now that we're about a week into spring training, and obviously we've already got some injuries and such that could affect that opening day roster. So we'll touch on a lot of different stuff. But I want your feedback. I want your analysis on anything. Hit us up with that text, tweet, or Facebook, or comment on the video stream. We'll take a quick break, and then we'll get things rolling here this morning on that opening drive. Coming up after these quick words. Speaking of the Man Cave podcast, brought to you by Toyson Ford and our good friends at Hy-Vee, the 200th episode, it looks like, is going to drop today. It's going to be another top five with Brandon and myself, and it's going to be it's going to be a weird top five. It's going to be a top five where we've got our top. How do I want to phrase this? Unpopular opinions, if you will. So we might kind of self-deprecate ourselves here a little bit, but it should be a good one. We're going to give you our top five most unpopular opinions. When I say unpopular opinions, like we're probably in the minority in that. Like, for example, I don't know if Brandon's going to say this one, but like boneless wings are superior to bone-in wings or something like that. So I don't know his top five. He doesn't know my top five. We're going to record that after we get done here this morning, and it'll be up on your favorite podcasting platforms later on today. But also with those Brewers bus trips, you can also head to sportstalk1051.com, and we've got the icon on there for you to it's a simple click right there if you want to get your tickets for the home opener against the New York Mets, April 3rd. So, G-Man, we might have to get you, G-Man, to maybe host some of these buses if you're up for it, man. If you're up for it, might have to put you to work hosting a bus for us. How about that? But more details, again, just go ahead to our website, sportstalk1051.com, and you'll see it on the left-hand side there if you're using your desktop or tablet and such. Big old icon. Can't miss it. So, all right, let's get things rolling. I might change it up. I know I keep saying it's like the opening drive and such, but I think it needs a little bit of a refresh. We might call it the leadoff. What do you think? All right, the leadoff. I gotta say it, see if it can stick in there. We're gonna kind of do a little bit of a mixture of things. We're gonna talk some hoops. We're gonna talk some baseball and such. But I know we don't have a Bucks game tonight, but when we're looking at it for this stretch run here, can we call it the stretch run? Because they got a game against Philly at home tomorrow, which I think is going to be a good game, fantastic game there. As long as like all the stud players and main players are going to be playing in that game. But then they've got a couple back-to-backs coming up here, which will be interesting to see how the Bucks maybe kind of manage that. And yes, the everybody's favorite word or phrase, load management, because you got Washington, Orlando back-to-back on the road. Then they're back home. Then they're on for a little bit of a West Coast trip, 3 games in 4 days there. Next Saturday, the 11th, it's Golden State, then Sacramento, and then Phoenix. That Phoenix one, circle your calendar for that one. That should be a fantastic one there too. But we're a little April 9th is their final regular season game. They're going to be on the road against Toronto on that day. So we're a little bit over a month left of regular season action. They're still holding on to a half a game lead in the Eastern Conference, the Bucks are. And now it sounds like they're going to be bringing in Goran Dragic to kind of add some more depth to that backcourt. Something that we have heard that the Bucks are, have been looking for since even before the trade deadline. But I was reading a little bit more from Adrian Wojnarowski's story on ESPN, and it said the Bucks believe that Dragic's tough-minded leadership and abilities can help them off the bench in their championship pursuit. The Bucks. What are we going here? Oh yeah, Bulls and Dragic agreed to have him waived this week, and now he's poised to join the Bucks after strongly considering signing with the Bucks before signing with the Brooklyn Nets a season ago. Sources said. So we know that the Bucks are one of the deepest teams in all the NBA. You could probably put Boston and Milwaukee up there as probably the top 2 deepest teams in the league. I saw some people on the Twitter sphere, if you will, kind of throwing Phoenix in that conversation now too, because you had KD to Booker and DeAndre Ayton and such. But I'd still go Bucks and Celtics as your top 2 deepest teams in the entire NBA. And I mean, you've got it's not this is I'm looking at the depth chart here, and one guy we haven't seen in a while yet too has been Wesley Matthews because he's been out with an injury. But you got Brooke, you got Giannis, you got Pat, Grayson, Holiday, Middleton, Joe Ingles, Carter, Crowder, Bobby Portis. I mean, their second group here. I know depth charts are unofficial, and I don't always trust them either, but kind of a gauge to kind of give you a look of where everything's at. I mean, this is their second five. Portis, Jay Crowder, Middleton, Joe Ingles, and then Carter. And then now you're going to add Dragic to this, and then you still have Wesley Matthews. Whenever he's healthy, I mean, he's going to be part of it, especially defensive purposes. You're 12. Your 12 guys are going to be Brooke, Giannis, Pat, Grayson, Holiday, Carter, Ingles, Middleton, Crowder, Portis, Matthews when he's healthy, and then Dragic. And then you still have that's your 12. You got Myers Leonard in there. He's been getting some time. The rookie AJ Green, if you want, Northern Iowa kid the other night just made 4 3-pointers in and out. And then you got Thanasis. You gotta put him in there too. But your 12 is that. What we just got said just a little bit ago. Your 12th person is going to be Dragic, and your 11th and 12th are going to be Dragic and Wesley Matthews. That's pretty darn deep. I don't consider really expecting a whole lot from Wesley Matthews, but he does give you that defensive presence, can hit the occasional three, can go off one night here or there. That's a dang deep team. Really deep team. I mean, just think if the Bucks win an NBA championship again this year, 2 in 3 years, and looking at the core of this team, I don't want to get too far ahead here. And I don't want to get my expectations up too much, okay? But if the Bucks win this thing this year, if they go out there and win this thing, when do we start to kind of like potentially throw out that D word? That dynasty word. When do you start to put that out there? If the Bucks take care of business and get another ship this season, 2 in 3 years, maybe that's the question. What's like that baseline to consider a team a dynasty type of team? Obviously, it's got to be multiple championships, right? It's got to be multiple championships. And I know they were kind of talking about this. This was right around the Super Bowl. They were kind of going, 60s are the Packers, 70s are the Steelers, 80s the 49ers, 90s the Cowboys, the 2000s, 2010s Patriots, the 2020s are the Chiefs now. You had Golden State you can put in there. I don't want to get too far ahead, but, you got Giannis sticking around for a little bit here. I mean, what's that base got to be? I don't want to get too excited in that, but I look at this team and I'm like, I think they've got more talent than what they did a couple years ago when they won it all. Now, talent doesn't necessarily mean better. How many times have we seen, teams go out there and win the championship, and you could say, well, they were the most talented team. But when I look at it, and this is just a team that right now, this Bucks team, they're gelling, man. There's something clicking right now. And I don't want to ignore Boston because they're obviously gelling too, and there's something clicking with Boston. But think about it for the Eastern Conference for the next 3 years. Next 3 years, but for the next couple years, few years potentially. Who knows what's going to happen with James Harden if he's going to stick around in Philly or not? But if Joel Embiid is there, you still kind of build around him. But with Milwaukee, with Boston, who's they've got a young core group there led by Tatum, one of the best players in the league. Philly with Embiid, Bucks with Giannis. You could throw in Cleveland, I guess, too, with Donovan Mitchell. I think there's the potential in the Eastern Conference and the NBA for the next few years here to have some good battles. I think they got the potential to be a little top heavy there. Brooklyn, I mean, bye-bye. But these four teams in the East, I think they've got that potential to be, top of that conference for the next few years. Maybe we start to see some rivalries develop between those four. Some intense games going on. Why not? I think right now, if you were like a futures type of person, a betting in the futures type person, I'd be looking at this at this Eastern Conference. And I don't want to ignore Denver with the Joker because that dude is legit. But I don't know if Denver is good enough to either beat Boston or Milwaukee in an NBA Finals. And then you've got, Phoenix now too with KD and Booker and Paul and DeAndre Ayton and such. I mean, their stock is I feel like they're gonna be what was it? I think DP even said it on his program the other day, like DraftKings. Was it the Suns had the second best odds to win the championship behind Boston, and Milwaukee was third, I think. So I mean, you got a lot of people already, and I get it, but putting the bets on the Phoenix Suns to win it all this year. But when do you start? I mean, I don't want to get too far ahead here, but man, for all the other stuff kind of going on in the good old state of Scotty with your sports teams there, whether it's drama or not living up to or playing up to expectations and all that stuff. Here you go. You got this Bucks team who have won 16 in a row right now and look poised to maybe hoist another Larry O'Brien championship trophy when it's all said and done this summer. Packers, who the heck knows what's going on there with all that drama. Brewers, a lot of frustration there. Badger football, you got some excitement. Oops, no. And there you go. Bucks just there. Poised to get it done again. Man, it's hard not to think if they get it done. Do you throw out that D word? Do you throw out that D word? I'm all right. I'm not gonna get too far ahead of myself. I'm not gonna do it. Take care of your business. Get through the postseason. Get it done when it gets to the championship. We went through the scenarios for Badger hoops with one more game left for the regular season here. We'll revisit them right now, but with that loss to Purdue, UW can finish anywhere from 10th, which would be a first round bye in the Big Ten Conference Tournament, to 12th in the league's seeding, according to Wisconsin Rivals. There's a lot of different factors here. So here are some of the outcomes, some of the scenarios. A win against the Gophers on Sunday with a Nebraska win and a Penn State win, Wisconsin will be the 12th seed versus Ohio State. If Wisconsin wins against Minnesota, Nebraska loses, and Penn State wins, UW is an 11 seed versus the Gophers. If they beat Minnesota, Nebraska wins, and then Penn State loses, UW again is the 11 seed, likely 11 seed versus Minnesota. Minnesota, or a win against Minnesota, a Nebraska loss, and a Penn State loss, UW would be the 10 seed versus either Illinois, Chicago, Michigan State, or Northwestern. A loss versus Minnesota, well, you're the 12th seed and you're going up against Ohio State, and I would think you're probably not going to the tournament. Greg Gard, saying after the game, talking about potential bid. I'd like to see them be rewarded because they are doing so many things, and they've given us every single thing they have. They just continue to battle and have followed our plan really well. It's obviously not perfect, but no team is. I just like to see them rewarded and get over the hump here. Get that victory against the Gophers. Yeah, and maybe kind of solidify your spot if you get that victory. If you can get a couple wins in that Big Ten conference tournament and try to solidify your spot in that dance. Nobody's expecting Wisconsin to go on a deep run, right? Nobody's doing that. But I mean, if you're a Badgers fan, you want to see your team get to the dance. You want to see Tyler Wall, depending on what his future is going to be like. They celebrated him with senior night last night. You want to send Tyler Wall out on a note getting into the tournament. We all know Wisconsin's not going to win it. They're not going to go far unless they become one of those Cinderella teams, I guess. We see it every year. So I guess you can never say never when it comes to March Madness and brackets. But likely, they ain't going far. But you still want to see them in the tournament. You still are going to root for them. I know everybody's down on them. I'm down on them. It's been a weird year after starting off the season, which looked like ooh, wow. All right. Overcoming preseason expectations. Nobody gave them any love in those preseason rankings, right? Here they are. They almost beat Kansas. They're 14th ranked in the country, climbing up in the rankings. And then it's like they came back down to earth. Can't close out games, going down those cold stretches. It's been a down year, obviously, but you still want to get to the tournament. For all the negative stuff we say, for all how hard we're being on them, you still want them in the tournament. If they lose their first game, they lose their first game. If they go on a run and get to the Sweet 16 or something like that, heck yeah. You root for them. You cheer for them. If you're a Badgers fan, unless you're like a Gophers fan or anything like that, then obviously you're not going to. But I want them to get to the tournament. Let's see. I'll have to check out bracketology, but I did see some people still have Wisconsin at 11 as one of those first four in play-in games too. So there you have it. All right, we got to take a quick break here, but coming up, we'll tell you who the Packers have been reportedly meeting at the combine here. Give you a few players. Does that mean that the Packers are going to target them in a draft? I'm sure that they're doing their due diligence. They're talking to a lot of kids at the combine, but there probably are some names on there that now that we're kind of getting in that draft process, a lot of Packers fans have been like, "Ooh, I would love to see the Packers draft that guy." So we'll give you some of the names that the players have gone out and said that they have formally met with the Green and Gold. We'll take that quick break, and we'll be back to finish up the first hour after these quick words. You know, you can't always see it coming. It's nearly impossible to predict. It's that moment when you go to open your refrigerator only to see everything in there is warm or even melted. Your refrigerator's busted. Now you're on the clock, man. You have to instantly decide whether you're going to find someone to fix it or get a replacement. Same thing can happen with your washer and dryer and even your oven. It can be a fairly stressful situation to figure out where to get that new washer, dryer, or refrigerator without spending a lot of time finding one, and ideally one that doesn't cost a whole lot of money. Well, it just got a whole lot easier because of Chippewa Valley Habitat for Humanity Restore. The Restore now has new unused Samsung appliances available: washers, dryers, refrigerators, and ovens, various types, finishes, and features. These are essential appliances, people, that we need in our daily lives. So when it comes time to replace them, take a visit to the Chippewa Valley Habitat for Humanity Restore and check out their line of Samsung appliances. Restore is located at 145 North Claremont Avenue in Eau Claire, just past that, past the intersection of Claremont and Menominee Street there. So, all right, who have the Packers reportedly been having some formal meetings with? We got a few names out there. Again, you can read into it if you want. Packers just doing their due diligence and such. Maybe see a trend here of all these players that they're meeting with and such. But these are just some of the names. You got Quentin Johnson, the wide receiver from TCU, bigger wide receiver too, 6'4", 215 pounds. You got Mozzie Smith, interior defensive lineman from Michigan. Big guy, 6'3", 337 pounds. Jordan Battle, the safety from Alabama. Mentioned already Brian Branch from Alabama. That has been a guy that I think a lot of Packers fans have been kind of eyeing up so far. J.L. Skinner, safety from Boise State. Bigger safety, 6'4", 220 pounds. I got maybe we're seeing a trend here because then we got a list of corners here, right, from Oregon State. Another bigger corner, 6'2", 200 pounds. You got Christian Gonzalez, corner from Oregon. You got Ray, corner from Georgia. Packers obviously have been drafting a lot of Georgia kids lately. I mean, look at their defense. You got Ricks, corner from Alabama. And then Lucas Van Ness. We've seen him, right, quite a bit from Iowa. Edge rusher over there. So these are just some of the names out there. Obviously, there's been more players that the Packers have met, but a lot of times at the combine, when these players are up at the podium and answering some questions, you'll hear some of the local reporters ask, "Hey, have you met with this team?" Or if who have you met with? And they'll acknowledge that they've met with so and so, and every player too. Like I think it was Branch that said, "Yeah, I think I'd fit really well into Green Bay's scheme and that." These guys, this is their job interviews. I think all of them will probably say that I can fit in every single defense in the league. They're going to do that because it's a job interview. And I'm not saying Branch can't. Branch is definitely an intriguing player that I think could be kind of a utility or a Swiss Army knife within this Packers defense. But yeah, Packers doing they're going to meet with way more players than we just mentioned. But those are. Can you see a trend there? I mean, there's a lot of corners or safeties in there. Does that mean anything? You got Jair, you got Eric Stokes, you got Rasul Douglas, Packers. I mean, maybe looking at that safety spot there. So maybe a little bit of a trend, possibly. We'll see. But as the workouts continue, combine not over with yet. So I'm sure they're going to be talking with a whole lot more players out there. But is there a player that you're kind of already in the early goings of this draft season, of this combine, that maybe you're kind of falling in love with right away? That you're already dreaming of him suiting up in the green and yellow? Let me know with tweet, Facebook, or text over there if you already got that player. All right, Morgan's got a couple minutes here. How you doing?
Hey, how's it going, Kasper?
I'm doing okay. How are you?
Good. So you're talking about combines and working out with the team and all that kind of thing. Do you remember the hardest workout or hardest practices that you ever had, or one particular move?
I don't know if it was practice, but can I say there was? Do you remember the presidential fitness testing?
Oh my God, yeah, where I would just hang off the pull-up bar and basically cry and sweat.
Great memories. Sit and reach was my devil.
I would have swapped. Okay, I'll sit and reach for you if you do a pull-up for me.
I set a freshman record in pull-ups.
What?
I don't know if it was a record,
give
but
me a
she
number.
said it was. I think I did 19.
You're kidding me.
No.
I could hang from that bar my whole
No.
life and not get 19.
I did 19 my freshman year.
So funny you should mention those. They still do those. Siggy
Do
just
they?
yes.
Okay.
Siggy, my daughter's 12, and she goes to Boyceville. So she was just talking about this and was like gearing up for it because she likes sports. She's athletic. She was taking it on like a challenge accepted kind of thing. Yeah, push-ups, sit-ups. Then they do that running test with the sound beep and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, they're still doing that.
Sit and reach was my devil.
Oh, how about now? You still pretty inflexible?
Oh God, yeah.
See, I sit and reach all day long. That's not a problem for me. But
I can.
man.
I remember one time I had to do the physical for sports, and the doctor doing it said they used the analogy: your hamstrings are like tree trunks.
Yeah, not going anywhere.
Not wide, not flexible is what he was getting at.
You have Groot legs.
Yeah,
that's what you're doing.
I can't do it. That's
So then put yourself back suited up for sports. What was one of the most grueling practices that you have? Because you see kids out in the summer gearing up for football, and they're just loaded in pads.
Probably my first practice at shout out UW Barron County basketball.
Yeah?
Yeah, I thought I was going to throw up.
How many hours?
It was a couple, but I was the idiot. I'm like, I'm going to carb load like Michael Scott before the mile.
You're puking fettuccine Alfredo on the side of the road.
I had spaghetti without the spaghetti sauce, and I carb load. For whatever reason, I decided to do that, and I was not.
Did you ever stick through 2-a-days and stuff like that too? Yeah. See, the thing right now is, we call them suicides, and the kids will run those. That's Siggy's. That's like the bane of her existence right now. She'll go to practice, and the coaches know it. I mean, they're on. They're smart, so they use it as bribery. Yeah, you go. You don't have to run suicide. So then
we call them touchdowns in basketball.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but it was ladders or whatever.
Yeah, ladders, whatever you want to call them.